Hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. The football doesn't stop. We'll have Fulham this weekend at 3 PM kickoff, more on that shortly. But you've seen by the video title there's been some official wording by Newcastle United, in particular Brad Miller, about what we're doing with a stadium, or we're staying or we're going. We'll also touch upon the ticketing situation as well. There's going to be a waiting list potentially happening for people who want to get in. Arne Slot has called Newcastle a smaller club. We'll touch upon that. Champions League money, Yoane Wissa back in training, and of course Fulham a little bit later. But before we crack on with today's news, two things. If you can drop us a like right now, that'll be wonderful. And secondly, you can see the QR code on your screen for Ballybet. They are pushing the UK market with some fantastic offers. Obviously, I'm sporting my Ferrari hat there. We did all right the weekend. I'll take that, podium finish. But if you want to have a flutter on the football, especially with Fulham this weekend, if you bet just a tenner, they'll give you 20 quid back in free bets. That's pretty good, isn't it? There's a QR code on your screen. There's a link in the description, so get yourselves do it. And please gamble responsibly, over 18s only. So yeah, make sure you have a bet with Ballybet, who are proudly sponsoring us. So let's talk about Newcastle United in stadiums. We've seen a lot in the last 12 to 24 months. We've seen YouTubers cover it. We've seen the media cover it. We've seen speculation and articles. You name it. Nobody knows jack shit. Let's be honest. Until now, some official word. Now, the fan advisory, kind of easy for me to say, the fan advisory board held their meeting, and we've been waiting for the minutes to come out. Now, if you want to read them, you can do it. It's on the club's website. But I'm just wanting to talk about the two big things from it, I feel, today, which of course is the stadium and Brad Miller, who of course is on the board, and these are direct quote what he said about Newcastle and the Newcastle United having possibly a new stadium or staying in St James's Park. And he goes on to say, the board continues to assess all stadium development options and has not yet reached a final decision. This remains a complex and long-term strategic consideration with potential benefits for the club, city and wider region. The priority is to ensure any decision is the right one, both in the terms of feasibility and the long-term impact. The process is ongoing and will be approached with the necessary rigour. Supporter services have received 10 direct emails on the topic over the past 6 months. Whilst volume remains relatively low, it is acknowledged that the subject continues to create interest and sentiment across the wider fan base. Michael McCarthy, who of course is the chair of the fan advisory, said it would be positive for fans to receive an update at the appropriate time, as nothing has been communicated since last February. And Lee Marshall reiterated that there's no decision has been made and it remains the genuine position. So there you have it. Official words from Brad Miller that there is no decision about having a new stadium. So if you see any articles, any videos in the next couple of months or so, it's not happening. It isn't happening. It is business as usual. St James's Park as usual. Now, whether you're one of the fans that want to have a brand new purpose-built stadium, whether at Leazes Park or Gosforth's been mentioned, whatever, or if you're like me, I want to stay at St James's Park, but I do feel the need is to expand. And yes, right now we've got to carry on with the RVI, the Metro, pulling the Gallagher out, yada, 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 listed buildings behind the East Stand, etc., etc. The decision is, there is no decision. It's staying as it is, and that is official news now. We've been waiting for something for such a long time, and as Michael said in the fan advisory board there, that we haven't heard nothing since February. And obviously, if you have a new stadium, of course, on that flip side, you can have new revenues. You can have season tickets, you can have more hospitality, you can rename the stadium. Whereas if you stay at St James's Park, you'd probably be a little bit more limited, but it's your home. You've got to be careful what you wish for, because everyone loves coming to the ground. Away fans love it. The noise, the atmosphere, city centre. Can you pull the Gallagher out? Is there other ways that you can get revenue? Definitely the training ground's being talked about as well. So, there's pros and cons to both, but the official news from the club is that there is no decision. So nothing's happening at the moment. And just staying with the fan advisory board before we move on, obviously ticketing is a hot topic for a lot of people, isn't it? For me, it's obviously to away ones. More fans should be allowed to get to more away games rather than go to corporate. But this is in terms of a waiting list that has been put forward. that the club will then set a meet and talk to supporters about maybe potentially having a waiting list. So we've had it before. It could be return of it. So if you are a non-season ticket holder but you're desperate to get a season ticket, you could join the waiting list, and it's basically, I would imagine it's one out, one in kind of scenario. If someone gives up their season ticket, next person then gets it. That, I would imagine I'm speculating there. I would imagine that's how it works, but that is with the ticket situation. I think that's good news because we know that the demand is really high, home and away. But we'll move on from that. Let us know how you feel in the comments about those two topics, the stadium and the ticketing. But you might have seen Arne Slot indirectly called Newcastle a smaller club. Now, I'm not taking that to heart because Liverpool are a bigger club than Newcastle. You cannot dispute that, but I think it's just having a bit of respect about other clubs, isn't it? It's that, and you kind of put the blame on Newcastle for Isak not being match fit. It's the striker himself. He's at fault. He went on fucking strike, you dafty. He went on strike, didn't want to play for Newcastle. It can't be the club's fault that he's not fit and he's not doing the business for you. It's the player himself. Look at Sweden. They're struggling to qualify. Look at Liverpool. He hasn't kicked on yet. I think he will in time, don't get me wrong. But you can't be putting the blame on someone else. It's the player's fault. But you're not going to call out your own player in the media, are you? But I thought that was disrespectful. I'm not going to go on about it too much. It is what it is. Champions League. Now, I wanted to bring this up because Newcastle are in a very healthy position currently at the moment. Top 8 automatically go through. The next 16 will go in a playoff against one another. And that'll make another 8 more going through to make a final 16 in the knockout rounds. Now, let's just say that Newcastle didn't qualify. And they're not going to, but we'll go. Listen to us. If we fall in the bottom 8 and we don't qualify, which is highly unlikely now that we've got 2 wins, Newcastle will still bank a guaranteed 19.4 million guaranteed. That's if they don't get through. So currently you're getting 1.8 million per win and just over 600,000 for a draw. But obviously the competition money that you get for qualifying for the group stage of the Champions League equals up over 19.4 currently. Obviously if Newcastle get in the knockout stages or the playoffs, that will naturally get more and more. And that doesn't include the match day revenue from ticket sales and TV companies. This is just from UEFA rewards only. So there's money there. And obviously we've talked about PSR. Everyone has them 3 horrible little letters, and it does help Newcastle massively. And also we've seen a change with the women, which I don't agree with. I think Becky should have been given another few more games for what she's done at Newcastle. But Newcastle are desperate to get the women's team into WSL and then into the Champions League because you can put as much money as you like into the women's. It doesn't affect your income. But if you get money coming back, that can be put back into men's football for transfers. Let's just say Newcastle qualify for the Women's Champions League and get far. All that pot money that Newcastle get can be put back into the club and spend it out. So that's why they are so determined to get the lasses promoted, and it's lethal, and I think it's cruel in some aspects, and include players who have been let go on that as well. Yoane Wissa is back in training. Woo! Come on! He's back. It's good to see. He's on the training pitch. He's had some giggles. You might have seen Will Asula's social media post. He's expected to be back for West Ham away, so he might make his debut on that. I wonder if Eddie Howe will be asked about that in his press. Obviously, he'll hold his press conference around 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it won't be allowed to put any news out until after 9:30. There's always that little embargo that's in place. So we'll hear from Eddie Howe tomorrow and see what the crack is with the latest team news. But you know you want to see Lewis Hall back shortly, and Livramento is probably still another 6 weeks away. So, and Vissa's not that far out. So things are looking a little bit better. I know there might be 1 or 2 little niggles with Joe Linton and Tonali's illness, and hopefully Tonali is fine for Fulham, and I'm sure he will be. And we may as well talk about Fulham game, because obviously it's a good old traditional 3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. It's not legally televised in the UK, what I will say, but obviously all the match reaction and stuff will all be across our main channel, Newcastle Fans TV, and you expect Newcastle to win that, because we're at home against a side that are okay, they can play some pretty football, but it's Fulham. And I'm not being disrespectful, but these are the sort of teams, if you want to qualify for the Champions League next season, you've got to go on and beat. I said this in the last word the other night. You've got to win these sort of games because that gets you back at the Champions League, and you've got to try and get rid of your hoodoos against Brighton and Bournemouth away, because we need to start winning those games if we want to call ourselves, a big team, challenging year on year on. Tony Harrington is going to be the referee for this game. He's managed us last season at it was at home against Everton, where we got beat, but we still qualified for the Champions League. He's based in Hartlepool, so he's a monkey hanger. And who's on VAR? It's Peter Banks is on VAR. And so Fulham do have some injuries. Robinson, Anderson, Chukwueze, Muniz are all unavailable, and the press conference for them today and Lukic and Kearney are doubts for this game. Again, we'll hear more from Eddie on the other side tomorrow, what the team news is. And Fulham are just bringing 1,700 supporters up. So they don't have a huge support, but well done for those people that are coming back up. It's a long trip. We do it 6-7 times to London, and then Brighton and Bournemouth on top. So we travel an hour number, so fair play to the ones that are actually making that trip up. Shame on you who are staying at home. But remember, Ballybet, if you have no flutter on this game, you can get 20 quid back in free bets if you pop on £10. Obviously, they are pushing the UK market heavily, Ballybet. So have a look at the QR code. Check the link in the description if you want to get yourselves a flutter on this weekend. But please remember to gamble responsibly. So I've whizzed through all the news. Hopefully that's you up to speed now with everything. And if you want to check us out on NFTV Extra, me and the lads are going live at 10 o'clock, and we'll be discussing everything with Newcastle United women. Or if it's gone past that time, you can still go on Extra and rewatch it. We are discussing everything because it's a little bit in turmoil, a little bit we feel. But there you go. Drop us a like on this video, and we'll see you very soon here on Newcastle Fans TV.